Hi, this is Nancy Joy, and this is Weekly Reflections. I am just back from Sedona. It was a most amazing trip, as all Heartlight's journeys are. This one, though, was a deep inner expansiveness that was, I know I can speak for all seven of us, it was life-changing. And yet, since I got home a week ago, I don't really have words to say. People say, well, what happened? What'd you do? What amazing thing? And the amazing thing is what happened inside of us all, in the altars of the Red Rocks and the Grand Canyon and on the Hopi Reservation. Then, as I was reading through some stuff, wondering how I was going to share my experience with you today on Reflections, I came across this quote, and unfortunately I did not write down the source, but here it goes. The hardest, most rewarding work we can do is to get in touch with our shadow. Therein lies our greatest treasure. When we see our own unconscious darkness, we bring it into the light and own it. We get in touch with our deepest creativity. So in other words, by bringing your unconscious darkness into your consciousness, through an event, through a happening, through dark pushing at you, you can own the reflection, your shadow side, that's been unconscious, that you haven't even realized. And to a large extent, I feel that is the grid we expanded, and I'm probably is being activated, I'm sure, all around the planet right now, but we did that in the Red Rocks and the Grand Canyon and on the Hopi Reservation. And so there were 6 travelers plus our wonderful, amazing, heart-centered guide, Clint Frakes, from Sedona Sacred Earth. If you want to check him out, he's amazing. And so it was a small group, and we had to divide up in 2 cars. And so we made a point of switching drivers not switching drivers, switching people, so that everybody could interact with everybody else on the journey. And I found that really upsetting at first, wishing there was some way the trip could have afforded to get one vehicle, because that's the way I usually do it, right? But we were separated, just like the dark and the light, just like duality. And so the whole trip was about a continual dance of heart integration that we did with ourselves and with the rocks and the Red Rocks, the sacred altars at the Grand Canyon, and with the Hopi. And so what came to me from that, looking at the shadow side, Carl Jung, one of his famous sayings about the shadow is that until we own our shadow, things happen to us, and we call it fate. Or we're victims, right? Why does this always happen to me? If you want to begin to see glimpses of your shadow so you can bring it into your heart and into the light, look at what bothers you the most in other people and experiences. And so I'm taking this as a fulcrum point, because during our drive, each person, at least to me, because I wasn't with everyone at once, shared with me their dance with the dark, their dance with fear in their lives, things they've had to move through at a monumental way so that they could expand and become all they were to become. And I listened to these stories, and everyone shared one with me. And on the way home, Clint and I, for 2.5 hours, were in one car, and we really shared each other's dances with the dark in a profoundly moving way. And so here we were doing grid work all over northern Arizona in the cars, switching people, sharing our stories of dancing with the dark and the great joy, expansion, compassion, and light it brought into our very beings. So it's what I wanted to share. One thing that came up at the Grand Canyon was, after we sat there, one great thing Clint did, and I just loved it, is that all the sacred places we went to in the Red Rocks and so on, there was a time where we sat in meditation and silence so that we could receive, so that we could get the downloads, and so that we could integrate inside ourselves. So there weren't as many group meditations and ceremonies as might have usually been. And this was significant. almost felt after a time like we were weaving a web. So the Grand Canyon message was, you're astounded by my beauty, a little afraid of my depth and my grandness, and yet I am you. You created me. I am the reflection of you. And when you can embrace that Grand Canyon into yourself, and then you think of the many storms, the many winds, the many fires, the many floods over thousands of years that created that depth and that height, you can see it all in your own being. You can truly embrace it. And in that moment, everything shifts and changes. When we went on to the Hopi reservation, we drove 2.5 hours, much of it through desolate desert. Lonely land, I called it. We did see the beauty. We saw lizards and amazing creatures and plants that Clint pointed out were very special. Desert plants, healing plants, and all of that. It has its own ecosystem for sure. But to the beautiful turquoise ocean of the dolphins and the emerald greens of Iowa and the rolling hills and the beauty of the red rocks, it was definitely desolate. And we spent the day with a Hopi elder of the Water Clan and his family, had a meal with us, and then we went and he showed us some amazing glyphs and cliffs and sites that we never would have seen, most people would never see. And it was truly incredible. He was an incredible guide. And at the end, we did a ceremony with him, and he welcomed us into his medicine ceremony and shared with us his toolbox of medicines, which were, amongst other things, mainly important feathers, eagle feathers, and crystals had a lot to do with his medicine, and he laid them out in a particular way. And my Ezekiel crystal, which is the emotional field crystal, it's right behind me here. Here it is. Oops, isn't he beautiful? He beautiful. Joined us on the journey. So Ezekiel crystal was invited into his grid, and we could just feel the crystals exchanging information and lighting up. And he did a beautiful ceremony for us. And then we did one from us to him, which is the I heart, you are my beloved. And magic happened. And at the time I wasn't aware, but the old way of handling the dark is to send it away, to get rid of it, to give it to the universe. Well, we are the universe, right? We are one. We are the universe. Where are you going to send it away to? We're what is. And so it now is about integration. And I even think the traditional Hopi indigenous ceremonies are going to begin to shift into a new way of understanding this integration. And so his gift to us, our gift to him was the integration of the dark in the heart, integration of the dark and light. And I feel that's a big purpose that Clint has. He works with he is a adopted member of the Lakota family and very close to this particular group of Water Clan of Hopis. So, but still, then we went home. We had a wonderful experience at Cathedral Rock and Oak Creek Canyon and etc. All beautiful. But I didn't put it all together until I read this quote: "The dancing of the dark and the light into a beautiful light." That's what this trip was about. That's what you're about. That's what every journey's about. And in that way, it is so profound. And then what comes yesterday in my email, but an email from one of my Dolphin Pod sisters, Susan Friedman, with a video, a story and a video of an 8-year-old boy explaining the crystal grid he was guided to create to integrate the dark and light. And he explains how it works. It's just amazing. I mean, chills. And I really realize that once we can jump into our dance with the dark that as it's created, any situation that happens to you that you feel is a trial, is why did you create it? You know the law of attraction. Why did you attract it? And you just blown away because you work so hard. Why are you attracting this? Well, it is to uncover the shadow patterns. so you can dance them back into your heart and into your light. Because until you do, there's always something holding you back, always somewhere where you're stuck. Drunvalo always said, when you ascend into the new frequency, all of you has to go. So you can't leave your unconscious shadow patterns behind. So I'm offering you an opportunity to tune into this, to dance as these things come at you, which they're coming at a lot of people right now, and dance them into your heart and into the light. They are truly opportunities. So catch the magic in your dance with the dark and discover who you really are. Thanks, everyone. Don't forget, we have three spaces left on our summer solstice dolphin trip. So catch some more magic and join us. Talk about spinning into the light. Nobody does that better than our dolphin friends. Bye. Have a great week. Take care of who you are. We'll see you next week.